What if the biggest threats to humanity aren't what you think they are? We're not just talking about wars and conflicts here. Instead, we're venturing into a broader landscape of dangers that our world is currently grappling with. Yes, we're talking about global threats. These threats, often silent and invisible, have the potential to disrupt our lives in ways we can't even begin to imagine. When we mention global threats, we are referring to issues that transcend national borders, affecting every corner of the globe. These threats are not confined to the realm of politics or economy. They infiltrate our healthcare systems, our environment, our technology, and even our future. They are as diverse as they are interconnected, making them even more challenging to address. But how do we determine what constitutes a significant global threat? We've used 3 key criteria to rank these threats: the scale of impact, the probability of occurrence, and our level of preparedness. The scale of impact refers to the extent of the damage or disruption that a threat can cause. This could range from loss of lives to economic damage, from societal disruption to environmental degradation. The probability of occurrence, on the other hand, assesses how likely the threat is to materialize. Some threats might seem far-fetched, but in the rapidly evolving world we live in, nothing is truly off the table. Finally, our level of preparedness takes into account how ready we are to tackle these threats. Are we equipped with the right tools, knowledge, and strategies? Or are we standing on the edge of a precipice, unprepared and vulnerable? Now that you've got an idea of what we're dealing with, it's time to delve deeper. It's time to confront the unseen, the unacknowledged, and the underestimated. It's time to shed light on the shadows that loom over our collective future. Now, let's dive into the countdown of the top 5 global threats. At number 5, we have a silent killer: antibiotic resistance. This refers to when bacteria evolve, becoming immune to the antibiotics designed to kill them. It's like a microscopic arms race, where our best weapons are becoming increasingly ineffective. But why is this a threat? Well, imagine a world where a simple cut on your knee or a common urinary tract infection could be lethal. That's the potential reality of a post-antibiotic era, where minor infections could once again become deadly. Our overuse and misuse of antibiotics, in both humans and animals, is accelerating this process. We're essentially training these bacteria to survive, and they're learning fast. In the near future, surgeries, chemotherapy, and childbirth could become much riskier without effective antibiotics to prevent infections. That's a chilling prospect. Without immediate action, modern medicine as we know it could be drastically changed. We must rethink how we use antibiotics and invest in new treatments to stay ahead in this race against bacterial evolution. Coming in at number 4 is a threat that's heating up: climate change. It's a term we've all grown accustomed to, but what exactly is climate change, and why is it such a concern? In simple terms, climate change refers to significant alterations in global weather patterns over a prolonged period. It's primarily driven by human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. These activities release vast amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, trapping heat and causing the Earth's average temperature to rise, a phenomenon known as global warming. But why should we be worried about a few degrees increase in temperature? Well, it's not as harmless as it may seem. The potential impacts of climate change are not only devastating, but also far-reaching. It's like setting off a domino effect. One thing leads to another, and before we know it, we're facing a cascade of catastrophes. For starters, climate change intensifies natural disasters. We're talking about more frequent and severe wildfires, hurricanes, droughts, and floods. These disasters not only destroy homes and claim lives, but they also disrupt entire ecosystems, pushing many species to the brink of extinction. Next up, climate change threatens our food supply. Changes in temperature and rainfall patterns make it increasingly difficult for farmers to grow crops. This could lead to food shortages, escalating prices, and ultimately, hunger and malnutrition. But that's not all. Climate change can also fuel political instability. As resources become scarcer, competition intensifies. We might see more conflicts, more refugees, and more instability in regions already on the edge. In conclusion, climate change is not just an environmental issue. It's a threat to our economies, our health, and our security. It's a ticking time bomb, and the clock is ticking faster than we might think. It's up to us to defuse it. The solutions are there, but it requires collective action and political will. The clock is ticking to prevent a climate catastrophe. Our third threat is lurking in the shadows of the digital world: cybersecurity threats. In the vast expanse of the digital universe, cybersecurity threats are like nebulous entities, ever-evolving and ever-threatening. They are not just a menace, they are a silent war waged every nanosecond of our lives. They are the invisible enemies that seek to exploit our vulnerabilities, breach our defenses, and wreak havoc in our systems. So, what exactly are cybersecurity threats? In straightforward terms, these are attacks on our digital data and systems. They come in various forms, from phishing scams that trick us into revealing sensitive information, to ransomware that locks us out of our systems until a ransom is paid, to advanced persistent threats that silently infiltrate and stay within a network to steal information over time. But these threats are not static. They evolve just as technology does. They adapt to new defenses, find ways to bypass security measures, and continually seek new vulnerabilities to exploit. As we become more reliant on digital technologies, these threats become more sophisticated and more dangerous. The potential impacts of these threats are immense. Financial loss is the immediate consequence that comes to mind. In the business world, a single breach can cost millions, if not billions, of dollars in damages, not to mention the cost of restoring systems and recovering lost data. But the impact extends beyond the financial realm. Imagine a scenario where essential services such as utilities, healthcare, or emergency services are disrupted due to a cyber attack. The consequences could be catastrophic. Moreover, cybersecurity threats also pose a risk to national security. State-sponsored cyber attacks can compromise critical infrastructure, steal sensitive information, and disrupt the functioning of governments. In this context, it's clear that cybersecurity is not just a technical issue. It's a societal issue, a global issue. It's about protecting our data, our privacy, our economies, our governments, and ultimately, our way of life. In our increasingly digital world, cybersecurity has never been more critical. At number 2, we have a threat that's as old as the Cold War: nuclear war. Picture this: nations armed to the teeth with weapons capable of obliterating entire cities in the blink of an eye. It's not a scene from a dystopian novel, but a stark reality we live in today. Nuclear war represents an existential threat to our civilization. The immediate impact of a nuclear detonation, the loss of countless lives and destruction on an unimaginable scale, is horrifying enough. But the aftermath may be even more devastating. We're talking about lasting environmental damage that could render large portions of our planet uninhabitable, and the potential for political instability that could plunge the world into chaos. The presence of nuclear weapons and the potential for their use is a terrifying reminder of the power humans wield and the responsibility that comes with it. The threat of nuclear war remains a dark cloud over humanity. And finally, the number one threat to humanity: uncontrolled artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is the development of computer systems that can perform tasks usually requiring human intelligence. This includes everything from understanding human speech to playing complex games and even making decisions. But why is this a threat, you ask? While AI holds the promise of making our lives easier, more efficient, and even more enjoyable, it also carries significant risks. The first is job loss. As AI becomes more sophisticated, it can potentially replace human workers in a wide range of industries. This isn't just about factory workers or truck drivers, but also white-collar jobs like lawyers, doctors, and even creative professions. Then there's the issue of privacy. AI systems are capable of gathering, analyzing, and using vast amounts of personal data in ways we can't even begin to comprehend. This data could be misused in a myriad of ways, from influencing our purchasing decisions to manipulating our political views. But perhaps the most chilling threat is the possibility that AI could become uncontrollable. This might sound like science fiction, but many respected scientists and technologists, including the late great Stephen Hawking, have warned about this possibility. The fear is that an AI, once it reaches a certain level of intelligence, could redesign itself to be even more intelligent, setting off a cycle that could quickly surpass human understanding and control. This doesn't mean we should abandon AI. It's a powerful tool that can bring immense benefits. But it does mean we need to approach it with caution, understanding, and most importantly, proper regulation. As we continue to advance technologically, the threat of uncontrolled AI looms larger. It's up to us to ensure that this tool, like all tools, is used wisely and for the benefit of all. So there you have it, the top 5 global threats facing humanity. Let's take a quick walk back through what we've covered. At number 5, we have the rapid evolution of artificial intelligence. This technology, for all its promise, poses significant risks, from job displacement to potential misuse in warfare. Next up at number 4 is the looming threat of nuclear war. The potential for destructive conflict remains a grave concern, requiring continued diplomacy and disarmament efforts. Cybersecurity threats slide into the third spot. In our increasingly digital world, the risk of data breaches and cyber attacks has never been higher. Second place goes to climate change. This existential threat, driven by human activity, is already causing unprecedented disruptions to our planet. Finally, the number 1 spot is held by antibiotic resistance. This silent killer could potentially render our most powerful medicines useless, leading to a global health crisis. The first step to solving any problem is recognizing there is one. Awareness is key to addressing these threats and ensuring a safer future for all.